Go ahead.
What we got is the top side of the FIA car, and start up here at the front. We've got the Harrison fill tank. So basically there's no radiator cap in the radiator, so you fill your water here and you want to fill it halfway up if you ever have to add any. Basically this tube will fill the motor. That's how it brings the system up, and this is the highest point, so there'll be no air in the system. That's the design reason behind that. What we did here when the motor came to us from Shelby, the alternator was mounted down low, which works on some cars, but on this particular car we had to move it to the top. We are fabricating a turnbuckle bar here that'll be right and left hand thread so that you can adjust the tension on the belt for the alternator. Again, the same theme with everything else. We've gone with the black braided lines, black fittings. This is all top shelf American made hose. We've got a fuel pressure gauge so you know what pressure you're running there. Of course the plug wires are off now since the headers are at powder coat, getting the ceramic coating done. So,
and when are the headers due back?
The headers are due back Friday. So once they return, we'll bolt those on, put a new set of spark plugs in the motor that are the correct heat range for pump gas and the compression ratio and everything. So we'll do all that. We also put the Optima battery in the hole. It's a tight fit. You do have to take a few parts off if you ever have to change the battery, but it is in the place it belongs, and you have to run a gel cell battery so that it can sit on its side. A typical battery would not work that way, so that's all done. We've also done up here, we have a 180-degree thermostat. That's the correct temperature thermostat you want to run. If you ever had to replace that, you want to keep that in it. We also went with a CBR Products billet thermostat housing. That's the only swivel thermostat on the market, this housing. So it won't leak. It's an O-ring seal, no gasket. Silicone hoses, aluminum tubing, everything's blacked out. Kind of make it go away because there's just nothing that pretty about radiator hoses. So basically we just took and made it look as clean and sweeping as we could make it. Again, there's no real blueprint to building this car, so that was the best fit we could come up with. Throttle linkage is all complete. Everything here, it's all a bell crank set up off of the pedal, so as you give it gas here, it pulls open on the carburetor. There is a throttle return spring. Everything's hooked up correctly there, and it does get full throttle, so we're safe there. And we also, under the dash, there's an MSD box. It's a digital 6AL box. This car typically is set up for a points distributor, but your engine came with an MSD billet distributor, which is electronic. So you have to run a CD ignition box with that. We hid it under the dash, made a panel, all the wiring's complete under there, and we did also match the coil. So it has an MSD matching coil to go with the MSD distributor and box. So everything is US made, good quality parts.
And the MSD box under the dash is tucked out of the way so you don't see anything, right?
And the good thing about it also is it has what's called a soft touch rev control, so you can change the chips in there. There's basically 4 numbers. We'll set the RPM limit up where it should be, but if you ever missed a shift or blew the tires off and we're racing it, it'll protect the motor from over revving. That's what that's there for. That's just one other thing we added to the build to kind of protect your investment.